Here at Michigan Family Wellness, we believe chiropractic care and nutritional-based therapies are a foundational part of a healthy family lifestyle. No matter where you're at in the mitten, having a family is such an exciting time of life. So instead of feeling overwhelmed by stress, fatigue, and responsibilities with the kids, we invite you to become part of this empowering community to create happy, healthy families. By providing engaging interviews and practical applications, Dr. Wallner cultivates family health by equipping our listeners with the tools they need to elevate wellness in their own family. Dr. Wallner passionately serves the Michigan community at his chiropractic and nutrition-based practice, where he specializes in pregnancy, pediatrics, and family wellness care. And now, here's your host, Dr. Kyle Wallner.
Good day, families, and welcome home. That's right, my name is Dr. Kyle, and this is the Empowering MFW family, and we are so glad to be with you today. If you are joining us for the first time, I want to thank you for tuning in. The health of you and your family is your number one priority. It is your greatest asset. The best way to have a healthy family is by living a family wellness lifestyle. So, if you're looking for efficient, effective, and sustainable ways to elevate your health and the health of your family, then I strongly recommend you make yourself comfortable because we have an amazing show for you today. And before we get to today's episode, let me say a few words as I do every week about Power Performance Gym. Power Performance Gym is dedicated to helping you achieve your best definition of healthy and strong. Power Performance specializes in strength and conditioning for individuals, small groups, and athletic teams, weight and pain management, as well as recovery and nutrition. Everyone at Power experiences a full movement and health analysis to build your blueprint for success, targeting your goals. Mention the Michigan Family Wellness Podcast to receive your movement and health analysis as a complimentary gift. Learn more about how Power Performance can help you move, look, and feel better by visiting powergym.com. That's POWRGYM.com. Elsie is a digital media strategist, podcasting expert, and industry personality cultivating conversation on the cross-section of technology, media, and holistic living. Her services include digital media strategy and development with a podcasting focus and creating powerful, innovative digital media strategies that build community. She's currently the co-host of She Podcast, a show about podcasting and media from a woman's perspective. All right, families, let's welcome Elsie.
Well, welcome, families, to the Michigan Family Wellness Podcast. Again, my name is Dr. Kyle Wallner. I'm joined today by Elsie Escobar, and I'm just so thankful and grateful to be bringing this wonderful message of chiropractic care to you all this morning. Elsie, we always ask our guests 2 questions for every episode. So real quick, tell us a little bit more what family looks like for you.
Oh my, family is relationship, listening, being open to transition, and allowing ourselves to continue to expand and grow when we're connected with something bigger like blood.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's a major theme here on the podcast. That's a major theme here in the community. You know, family is great to have those blood relatives, you know, the people that you live with essentially, but it's also great to have the people that you abide with, the people that you do life with and that you're in community with. Major theme here on the podcast. Another question we ask all the time, Elsie, is have you ever visited Michigan? Do you have any kind of a favorite part or a lake or a trail? Anything there for us?
No, I haven't visited Michigan. All I know is that I have a lot of friends that are from Michigan, and I see all their pictures on Instagram.
Michiganders, awesome.
Yeah, exactly. All the hashtags. That's about the extent of it for me, yeah.
Well, obviously I'm biased. You know, it is quite the state of beauty in my opinion. As I've mentioned a couple times here before, my wife and I are looking forward to going up to the Upper Peninsula. So we're going to go to cool. Pictured Rocks is the name of the park that we're going to. Just some beautiful scenery, and we're looking forward to that later on in August here.
Awesome.
That being said, Elsie, the whole reason why I wanted to bring you on the podcast today is to get your unique perspective on your experiences with chiropractic care and how it affected specifically your pregnancy. So if you don't mind, what I find with these conversations that make them most raw, real, relevant, and powerful is just sharing our experiences. So can you go ahead and do that for our listeners today?
Sure. I had very limited experience with chiropractic prior to being pregnant. There was a point when I was a waitress in LA, there was a couple of twin chiropractors that used to come, and they were like often coming into the restaurant all the time. And they were always going like, come on. And I was like, oh my God. So one day I decided to go in, and they schooled me on like subluxation, and they made me watch this video, and I learned all kinds of stuff from them, and that was cool. Getting adjusted and then having a massage. Sweet, but then, and then I moved out from LA. So that was like essentially my experience with it. I didn't have anything happening in my body at that time, really, or at all. And then I got pregnant, and during the last part of the pregnancy, we found out that my little baby was Breech. And so we really wanted to have a vaginal birth. So we wanted to do everything possible to have her turn around by herself. Right. And I did all kinds of research and, found about what chiropractic can do for that. And I did a quick search on the interwebs, chiropractic. At that time, I was living in Pittsburgh, and then I got a hit, and I booked an appointment, and I decided to go that route. Nice. Unfortunately, I went in a little bit too late. I think I started to go like at 36 weeks.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Something like that. And
sure.
I was a little bit late to the ball, to play at that time. And then we decided to also add a version to the mix. And when I went to get a version to the mix, I found out that I had an undiagnosed placenta previa. So I had to have an emergency C-section like right away, right then. So, the chiropractic necessarily didn't really, I guess it helped me understand, and it made me think like, oh, I should have come here sooner, because the Dr. Chris was amazing and I really loved him. But because I had such a wonderful relationship, or I felt so well taken care of by him, I thought, I think I want to go back to him as soon as I'm done, with,
sure.
And after my C-section. And being a yoga person, I kind of didn't want to push my body at all. I wanted to make sure that I honored the 6 weeks, at least the 6 weeks that I was given to heal. Right. But I did know that I needed to move my body, and I knew how that would really impact me. So I essentially scheduled to see him almost right after like 6 weeks. Right. And I also had him work on my baby, like literally like right after there, just because I was like, why not? So we went in, and we kind of like started another treatment, for me during that time. And I think postpartum for me was like when I really fell in love with the experience of chiropractic.
Absolutely. I can't agree with everything that you're saying, more or enough, Elsie. This is why I'm so passionate about this kind of care. And honestly, I talk to a lot of women, a lot of mothers, a lot of parents actually, that really do want those natural births. They want those, alternative options out there, because we do see rising rates of C-sections out there. And again, nothing against our current medical, like we need those options for people in place. We need that emergency care. But for people that really want to embrace the natural process, that want to have, we could talk all day long about the benefits of chiropractic care during pregnancy. And this, I'm just going to read a couple this is actually from the American Pregnancy Association. So if you want to maintain a healthier pregnancy, if you want to control symptoms of nausea, if you want to reduce the labor time and the time of delivery, if you want to relieve back, neck, and joint pain, and if you want to prevent the potential for cesarean section delivery, what we're offering here, what we can do with our hands as chiropractors, is so significant and so profound. So I just want to thank you and acknowledge you again for sharing your story. Can you tell us more specifically? So I remember we were talking in our pre-chat, your first delivery was actually an emergency C-section. Is that correct?
Yes, it was. Because they didn't know that I had the placenta was placed the way it was. So I was 37 weeks at that time. And so
Gotcha.
they immediately said,
Yeah.
we're doing this. And then they went, oh, well, you're having a baby in about 10 minutes. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So that's how it started. But what was really great for the baby is that she was also Breech, right? And she was Frank Breech. So she was like in the, in a V shape with her little butt at the bottom and her legs up. And she was essentially kind of smashed like that. And she had very little mobility for quite a few months. And of course, I didn't quite know that. And so it was interesting is when she was born, her body catapulted back. Like as soon as you put her down, she would go doink and she would just like fold over again.
Gotcha.
And then of course the first thing they checked was her hips to see if her hips were dislocated or not. And she was fine. Yeah. But we also felt that it would be great because we trusted immediately Dr. Chris to just kind of check her out to see if like her body was doing okay, if we could facilitate in any way, opening her body, allowing her, especially for her digestion, things like that I had read that would be really helpful for her. And so we kind of kept going for me and for her in postpartum, especially during those first months that really helped her ability to kind of like release or like digest her food better, not have so much gas, all of that kind of stuff. Of course, it was still having an infant, so there was still a challenge throughout the entire time. But I felt that at least we were helping her kind of with her body. I think it added to her ability to be out of the belly. So
brilliant. And again, what we're doing as chiropractors with our hands is we're correcting structural alignment. So again, I cannot say or I cannot guarantee that we're going to correct if the placenta is blocking the birth canal or if the baby is breech, but we can say that we are correcting the segmental movement of the pelvis, of the sacrum, of the lumbar spine. And then by extension, we're correcting the central nervous system, which ultimately is what controls our body and how everything works. So everything you're saying makes absolute sense. Moving along to your second birth now, I remember also in our pre-chat, we were saying you had really kind of felt more low back pain during that time, and then going through the chiropractic care really helped to relieve the low back pain. Is that correct?
Yeah, I had some psoas. My right psoas is a little bit shorter than the other one, and it kind of causes a little bit of misalignment in my hip area and whatnot. When I went to chiropractic, I didn't actually do it throughout the entire pregnancy. I was incredibly physical and I practiced yoga and all this kind of stuff. So I felt fairly steady and strong. I think I went towards the latter end again, just to kind of like help me find space. For me, that's what it was. It was to create more space in my body so that I would have, feeling like just better. But when I had the back pain come was actually after I had the baby, because this one was, we had a VBAC. So that was awesome. She came super quickly. And then when she was about, oh my gosh, a week or two old, I was just changing her diapers. And then all I did was like turn my body slightly over. And as soon as I just turned very gently with the baby, I heard something go poof.
Right.
And then I felt my entire right side warm and tingly going up and down. And I was like, well, I don't think that's a positive thing.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And sure enough, I experienced some pretty bad pain after that. I mean, really bad. I had an inflamed SI joint. I couldn't fold at all. My mom I had to pull myself on the bed and pull myself up to a seated position with my arms. And my mom would place her so that I could nurse her. It would take me about 20 minutes to get out of bed. Like I would roll over, because it was so painful. And so we went to the chiropractor. We went to Dr. Chris, and it was so awful. I mean, he was great, but I was in so much pain, and he was able to sort of realign me. Obviously that wasn't like immediate release, but he was able to get me back into a place of, alignment in my body. and he gave me some stuff or some ideas as to what to expect and when to be a little bit more worried if things didn't get better. And I just had a lot of inflammation. I mean, it was just an inflamed area back there. Yeah. And that was it sucked, but thankfully, thank God that I was able to go to him. That's all I have to say. Yeah. It was awesome.
Especially in the context of pregnancy, when a mother is carrying her baby and she may be experiencing some low back pain, that may turn into some more severe low back pain. A lot of mothers that I talk to, Elsie, they don't want to take a lot of the NSAIDs, a lot of the over-the-counters, a lot of the painkillers because of that mother-baby connection via the placenta. Right. Like everything you're eating. Is ultimately going, circulating through the baby as well. So I also wanted to touch on, your expertise within yoga. You mentioned the psoas muscle. Maybe you can tell us more about that. But I just feel such a connection between people that practice yoga and incorporate chiropractic care as well. That's such a synergistic effect.
Yeah, it did. It actually really helped. I didn't think about it before. I didn't really... I think that part of it is that I also had a lot of training in therapeutics. So I'm really adept with body, and I actually take people out of pain. So I've I've manually adjusted psoas muscles. I've manually adjusted upper back and neck. And so I have a working understanding of the body in this way. Now, when chiropractic really, kind of hit home for me was especially after having my C-section, when I was unable at that time to do the therapy, if you will, with my body that I knew how to do, because I had just had major surgery and I had to heal. So what was really great is that instead of me actively putting my body in these places and engaging at that time, the best choice was for me to have an external adjustment so that someone else was able to kindly and softly place my body in a position of alignment rather than me having to do it, because I didn't have the strength, nor should I have been doing that, to put myself in that position. So it sort of was like it's sad. I mean, in a way it was like doing yoga without having to do it. So, without going through the class. I didn't have to go through the class. I was just very simply able to do it. So that was a real blessing for me.
Absolutely. And, just to go back and circle back, you mentioned the psoas muscle, the primary flexors of the hip joint itself. Yeah. This is a large muscle, one of the largest in the body, actually, that comes off the front of the lumbar spine, crosses the hip joint, inserts on the leg. And like you said, Elsie, this muscle alone, when it gets contracted or it has any kind of a neurologic signal telling it to really tense up, it can cause such incredible low back pain, both for just, the regular everyday person and kids, as well as pregnant women as well. And just because we're always sitting, we're always flexed, we're always shortening those attachment points. So it's a major deal. And I can't tell you how much I work with that, just helping people out of psoas pain itself here at the office as well. Elsie, this is the Family Wellness Lifestyle Podcast. So can you tell us more about how your family now just kind of uses chiropractic care? I know we were talking about your husband being a little bit taller, a little bit longer limb.
He's really benefited at all as well, because he came with me to the chiropractic appointments, and he got to know Dr. Chris. And then, he happens to do a lot of work with his own body too. And he understands a lot about his own alignment and a lot about his own body. So he was able to then go to him whenever, especially when he was doing, he does construction a lot of the time, green building. And during that construction time, there are a lot of repetitive motions inside of his body. And maybe he is in positions that aren't necessarily in alignment, especially if you're doing something on a ceiling or on the ground, that really put a lot of pressure on his body. So primarily, especially after he's done big builds or something like that, he'll go to Dr. Chris and have some general adjustments for his body so that he can move forward. I think that it's been really added to our wellness to be able to go whenever we can to get all of us adjusted at once. And even both of the girls have seen Dr. Chris since they were infants. And we don't really go all the time because that's not something that we can do as a family constantly. But we we do try to touch base with Dr. Chris at least
Yep.
twice a year, where we go in and we say like, hey, can you check us out? Things like that. And the girls have really, they're open to it. They haven't really ever been, I don't know, against it or anything like that. And what I loved about it too is like when we took them as infants, especially my second one, when you do that thing that I told you, what is that thing? The muscle testing?
Yes, muscle testing.
Well, you muscle test
Applied
the mom.
kinesiology. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we took the baby and then he checked, especially with May's neck. There was some funky stuff going on with her neck, or we felt it was anyway, because babies are always in these awkward positions.
Right.
And so when he adjusts her, he will have my hand and then depending upon how I react, I guess, energetically to whatever's happening there, he'll do those adjustments according to that sensation, which is really beautiful, and he's worked with them. Now they're 8 and 5. And we've been going on there forever, and it's funny, if you scroll through my profile page, you can see there's a picture that Dr. Powell just posted of my hunter, I think a couple of years ago, and she has the chiropractic sticker on her mouth that she just went and she just stuck it in her mouth.
Gotcha.
So he's been amazing. So great.
Awesome. Well, I want to further drive home some points that you mentioned there, Elsie. For people who are listening and joining us on the live feed, you really want to work with someone you trust. That's why I'm really glad that Elsie had really good chiropractic care here. You also mentioned the muscle testing, applied kinesiology. For those that may not be familiar with that, that is essentially the objective approach to assessing someone's nervous system. So rather than just, feeling someone's spine and doing motion palpation, all of that's phenomenal. All of that's fantastic. What we can actually do as trained professionals is actually tune into that person's neurologic system via their muscle contraction. For someone to contract their arm, their brain has to signal their muscle via the nerve to actually do a muscle contraction. And so using those principles of biology, using those principles of neurology, we can further figure out not only where to adjust, but also what directions, what levels, all these different things. Nutrition's a big one as well. And then to Elsie's point, you can also, with kids, you can't always tell a kid, okay, hold your arm here. So that's why you use mom as kind of an intermediary for that. So those are great examples as well. Well, Elsie, I do want to actually key our listeners into another point here. This is also from the American Pregnancy Association. This answers the question, how does chiropractic care benefit women with fertility issues? So here we go. Your body is an amazing creation that can accomplish numerous miraculous tasks, including creating new life. These miraculous tasks are accomplished under the direction of the central nervous system, which is the master communication system of the entire body. Chiropractic care is a safe and natural approach to enhancing the body's ability to function properly. This is accomplished through enhancing the function of that master control system, the central nervous system. So, doctors of chiropractic are nervous system specialists, and reducing interference in the nervous system is their primary goal. Like we mentioned earlier, maintaining a healthy pregnancy, controlling the symptoms of nausea or morning sickness, reducing the time of labor and delivery, relieving back, neck, and or joint pain, and preventing cesarean delivery. I also want to highly advocate for doing your own yoga practice, which brings me back to asking Elsie more about your own podcast as well.
Yeah, I haven't been teaching public classes as of late, but I do work privately with a lot of people. Not with a lot of people, with people. And but I do have a podcast that you can do. It's Elsie's Yoga Class. Essentially, it's still out there. I haven't produced anything for over 3 years now, but I have over 100 free audio classes that you can do over and over and over again, which is why I think it's still doing so well, because people tend to do that. So awesome. And it's all audio. And I know people often say like, well, how can you teach yoga with no pictures? And really, I think part of learning about yoga and about having a practice is that you do need to learn to listen. and to take it rather than having external cues, things that you see to trigger something in your body. At first, it's really wonderful, but a lot of the time we really do need to go like, where is my right leg? How do I move it forward? How do I make the shape she's saying? And it really takes you into a deeper understanding of what the practice itself is, which is really more of an inner experience rather than what you see out of yourself.
Absolutely. Well, that being said, Elsie, again, I want to thank you so much for joining us on the live feed and joining us here on the podcast. Can you tell us more about where our listeners can go to find more about you?
Oh, wow. You can go to elsieescobar.com if you guys want to check that out.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Elsie. I really appreciate your time. You're a yoga teacher, you're a mother, you're a wife, all these great things. Thanks so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Yay!
All right, families, what'd you think? We'd love to get your feedback. If you would like to email me about anything you've heard on this or any previous edition of the Family Wellness Lifestyle Podcast, you may do so by writing Dr. Kyle at MichiganFamilyWellness.com and take full advantage of the Family Lifestyle Audio Library at MichiganFamilyWellness.com. Connect with us on social media at Michigan Family Wellness. Thanks so much for tuning in, families. Have an awesome week, and remember, we can do far more together than we could ever do apart.
Now that you've been equipped with the latest in family wellness solutions, we want to encourage you to apply these strategies right away. But the thing is, there's still so much to learn. Connect with Dr. Wallner's Chiropractic and Nutrition Office by going to MichiganFamilyWellness.com and click the newsletter sign-up button to join the informative and supportive community of chiropractic wellness. You will also receive as a gift from Dr. Wallner a copy of Michigan Family Wellness Solutions, an invaluable resource containing dynamic tools to elevate family health and vitality. Michigan Family Wellness wants to thank you for being part of today's podcast. Please subscribe to our podcast on iTunes and give us a 5-star rating and review.